Hey, Coach. So glad you found the video. Couple things. First of all, make sure you subscribe and like. Second thing, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Let me show you how to put a roadmap and become a nationally ranked coach. I've done it for 30 plus years. Let me help you do that over at teachhoops.com. Let's head off to the video.
All right, welcome to Coach Unplugged. I'm going to give away when this is being when we're doing this, because I'm sitting here semi focused on Coach because I got the Bucks over here and they're getting their butts kicked by the Pacers. So that will give you all a sense. I don't know when this is going to go up. This might go up in July or August. So hopefully that we win the series, and I'm not hopeful at this point. With the game I'm in the background, I'm not super hopeful that we're going to be winning, but maybe we'll see.
They're not the 17 Warriors. They're not coming back 3-1.
Yeah, I don't think they are. Now without Giannis on the court either. There was one possession, crazy Coach. There was one possession in game 2 that I think the Pacers got like 7 offensive rebounds. I'm like texting my brother and my coaches. It's like, will they not box out? Why will they not box out? They're pro players. They're making tens of millions of dollars, and they won't box out because they're they're used to having Giannis in the middle. But anyway, so Coach Owens, I'm going to have you kind of introduce yourself, and then tell about your basketball journey, how you got into basketball, and then, how you got to the spot you are now. You are what I refer to as a puppy. So you're 25, you're young. I'm near the end of my teaching and coaching career. You're at the beginning of yours. But anyway, so being in the same building. But anyway, I would just kind of tell us about your journey, and then I'll just throw some questions because this will be good. I've got some unique questions for a newbie, for a new coach per se. So
for sure. Yeah, my name's Cole Owens. Pretty fresh, 25 years old.
That's pretty fresh.
I feel old.
You feel old, I know.
I have hip surgery coming up in June. So
you have what surgery?
Hip surgery. I have.
No.
Yeah, not a replacement, just kind of like a resurfacing. So it was time. It was time for that. So, but
wow,
yeah.
That's not going to be. That's not a pleasant rehab.
It won't be too bad. I think I'll be up and moving within probably. They get you up walking right.
They get you up walking.
Yep. So it'll be.
So for the people that are listening to this, that are older, don't go watch YouTube channels on hip replacements, because it's basically like taking a chicken leg and deboning it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
it's not a pretty sight. It is. Looks like it belongs in medieval days. It's crazy. So anyway, because I've had some friends have it, and it's like, whoa, that's like that's crazy land. But anyway.
Yeah. That's probably the last thing I want to think about before.
Yeah, don't think about it. You'll be all right. You're young. You'll recoup fast. So,
yeah. Graduated 2021 from South Dakota State University. Right now, I live in Minnesota. And
did you coach or play while you were in school?
When I was in high school, I did. I played high school basketball all 4 years in high school. I would have gotten started probably in our youth program, and gosh, I would have been like 5, 6, 7 years old. They got me started. So I've been playing basketball for a while. Still play, but coach more now. So.
Yeah, it's hard. You can't do both. I learned that early in my career.
Yeah,
I used to jump in. I was like, when I was a freshman coach, I used to jump in, and it's like you can't see the things. The eyes of a player are different than the eyes of a coach. It's just different when you're on the court. And sometimes I had to, because I was a freshman coach. We'd have 8, 9 guys at practice or something, and I'd have to jump in. But I think my last official game was actually, that's not true. I played in my son's 8th grade father-son thing, but before that, my previous last game was a rec league game where I tore my Achilles.
Yeah, we just wrapped up our like city league, and we lost in the we got smoked. It wasn't good.
Keep playing is the key. I'm going to tell you. Keep playing.
Not on this hip, no way.
No, that's true. That's true. That is true. But it's like the Achilles thing is, it's like a rubber band, and when it gets when it gets tight, then that's when
Yeah.
you. But even these professional guys doing it, that's the crazy part.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like,
I'll go play. I'll go play more. We like have like a bunch of guys that get together and play ball in the morning, and two guys kind of snap their Achilles, and it's always kind of the guys that haven't played for a while. So
yeah.
I don't
Well,
recommend just showing
you'll
up.
be
And
playing pickleball. You'll be playing
yeah.
pickleball now. I've had a couple nationally ranked pickleball players in my classes, so you'll be playing.
Okay.
You never know.
I don't want to play against those guys.
No, they're really good. They're really good.
Uh,
So did you grow up in South Dakota?
I did not. I grew up in Minnesota, small
Okay.
town. I
Okay.
don't know if you've heard of New Ulm, but close to
Give
there.
me an idea of what it's by.
Well, so if you think Minneapolis, think
Yep.
like an hour and a half southwest of there.
Southwest. Okay, so
So
past
like,
Rochester. Okay.
yep,
Okay.
west of Rochester.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I know where that is. Yeah. Okay. And then why South? How did you pick the school? How did you pick South Dakota?
well, I wanted to go to lacrosse in Wisconsin, and then didn't have the grades to go. So
Okay.
SDSU accepted me.
That's a good reason. Lacrosse is a great school. Yeah, it's a pretty school too. I've had a couple students go there. And then so you wanted to come back home, basically, back to Minnesota.
Yeah. My wife was teaching at a kindergarten school here in New Ulm, and I was doing my student teaching down in Houston, and then
Houston, Texas.
correct. Yep.
Whoa. Yeah.
So it was that was a great experience. I teach Phi Ed now, so I did my elementary placement down there, and then I also got placed in a high school down there. The elementary experience was really really good, and then the high school experience was more. The guy that I was placed with was down there. He was a football coach, and then Phi Ed teacher on the side, I guess you could say.
So, and what were you there in the fall, or what was the weather like?
Oh, so I was actually down in Houston when you remember when the power grid shut down?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? Yeah. So that would have been over like kind of like tail end of COVID 2021.
Right.
And then so it snowed. Like we got like 4 inches of snow down in Houston when I was living down there. It was, I mean, nothing new for me being from Minnesota, but
yeah, nothing at all.
I thought I was getting away. It just followed me down.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Texas is such a big state. People have no idea how big Texas is.
Oh yeah, it's massive. We drove down there, and it's like a 20-hour drive, and I felt like 8 of it we were driving through Texas.
Right. So. It's driving. It's kind of like, I tell people, it's kind of like driving through Illinois from north to south. It just goes.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, am I ever going to leave Illinois? And it's like, that's from the Midwest people that drive to Florida. You got to drive through Illinois, and it's like it just takes and the same going east and west or west and east from Texas. It's like it lasts forever.
Yep.
It's like whoa. And so then what happened when you moved to Minnesota then?
Yep. So then when I moved back up to Minnesota, and then I was actually working. I had my teaching degree. I'd graduated at this point. There were no jobs in New Ulm at the time, and I was working at a tree service company.
Did you have any problems with your teaching license?
No, I did not actually. I had gotten I had gotten a teaching license for South Dakota actually.
Right.
After having done my placements in Texas.
Yep.
And came back, got certified in Minnesota. There was just no jobs in the area that I wanted.
Yeah, but it wasn't like you didn't, like my wife got certified in Indiana, and it was a pain to get Wisconsin. Like there's just hoops to jump through. That wasn't a pain.
Yeah, well, I had to like take a couple tests.
Okay.
That was about it. And
that's
then
all right.
And then actually last minute, so I was working at a tree company, and then I was in between getting my class A to kind of just work there full time, and then ended up last minute there was a COVID sub position that opened up at the public school here in New Ulm, and I ended up going and applying for that job, got the position, and then there happened to be a middle school girls basketball coaching position that opened up, so then I applied for that, got that job as well, and I coached and taught there for a year. I ended up being a STEM teacher, which as a Phi Ed guy, that was a little bit out of my element, but
yes, I can imagine. So it is. I tell people it's all about timing too. Sometimes with jobs, and FIA jobs are actually pretty hard to get.
Yeah, if you there's definitely jobs out there, but if you want to be in like a specific place, like you better hope somebody's moving
Yes, and
somewhere
then
else
you
or
have better,
retiring
and then you
soon.
only get one shot at it because it might not open up again for another. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Like the elementary school here that I was, the public school, the elementary school that I was at, the position had just gotten filled like a year before, so it's like that guy's not going anywhere. So it's
Right.
kind of, but then actually the following year, the private Catholic school in town, their Phi Ed teacher retired, and that's where I am now.
Okay.
So it's
And
actually the school that my wife uh, went to growing up.
oh, that's good.
Yeah,
So
and
it's just in high school though. It doesn't have elementary or middle
it
school
is
attached.
elementary, so it's like a area New Ulm area Catholic school. So I teach
Okay.
at the elementary, and then we're like the feeder school into the high
To the
school,
high
and
school.
that's where I coach
Okay.
now.
And so you're in this you teach in the same building as your wife?
We do now. Yep. She actually was at the kindergarten. She was at the public school, the kindergarten, and then the STEM position actually opened up, and I was able to help her get her STEM program started with my
Right.
expertise in that field.
That's funny. That's funny. So you have to take one car to work. No, you have to take two cars.
Well, she drops the kids off, and then
Okay.
right now I'm coaching golf, so we
You have
we
to have
drive
two
separate.
cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
We live about a block away, so I probably should walk, but
oh, you definitely should. Well, that's yeah. I mean, yeah, but sometimes that's what people don't get too. Is like, especially when you're a coach, you got crud in the car, and especially if you're a golf coach, you're gonna have ball, and it's like,
oh yeah, we got all sorts of stuff.
and it's like I got to give Johnny a ride home after practice because I don't want him waiting outside in the thing. I know it's crazy. So being a relatively new coach, what's one of the obstacles that you've had to face? What are one of the things that you have found difficult, unique, that you maybe didn't think was going to happen when you took the job?
I mean, right away, it was like kind of that imposter syndrome. It's like you don't feel like you can do this right away. And then I kind of got over, like, it felt like once I kind of like got to the point where like what I kind of say is what's gonna happen. I got over that, where like, when do you guys think practice should be? It's like, no, this is when practice is. This is what we're doing. It's like
I only let them
it's
make
not up for debate anymore.
From an old coach, I only let them make decisions of things I don't care about.
Yes.
Like if I don't care, then I say, okay, what do you guys want to wear to the game tomorrow? If I don't care, then I'm going to let them pick, and then they can decide. But if there's any part of the 100%, if there's 1% that I care about it, then I'm just going to make the decision for them, because otherwise it's just way too much chaos. It's like, no, this is when we're going to do it, and here's how we're going to do this, and this is the way we're going to do this. Otherwise it's like, yeah, I know. It's like herding cats at that point. It's just basically a different thing. Practice. Tell me about how you run practice, or what you find about practice. How do you prepare for practice? I'll throw that one out. Preparing, or like, how do you do your practice?
Yep. So typically what I will do is, hopefully I've gone over like what I want to do. Like, I've made up my practice plan. So I'm just going to pull up out of season. It's a little bit difficult. I'll pull up a practice plan that I kind of have, but I'll make up my practice plan. And we always kind of start with I was listening to I believe it was Coach Bill, actually. He talked about I forget the guy. It was Graham the Guide. I think it was kind of like his thing on Spotify. Yep. We actually have started all of our practices with his Wi-Fi walk this past year. So like the kids will come in, and when we officially start practice, that's what we do, is we start with that Wi-Fi walk. And the first kind of like 5 minutes before that, kids are just kind of trickling in, coming out of the locker room. They're just kind of getting their bodies loose. And we'll start with that Wi-Fi walk. So they will walk 30 seconds down, just kind of in silence, and then 30 seconds back, just to kind of unplug from the rest of the day. And
Yeah.
that's typically how we'll start every single practice. Then we'll kind of come together and we'll meet, and we will, depending on the day, like we're either gonna sort of like say this is kind of what's going on today, or we'll take about 5 minutes to kind of chat and see where the team is at and how they're feeling. And then, you know, we started kind of doing like a bunch of dynamic stretching, but we've actually started to move away from that, and we kind of do more stuff that actually, so instead of doing like, you know, high knees and skips and stuff like that, we've moved to like, not, I wouldn't say small sided games, but stuff that like we'll start with like one-on-one, essentially just kind of start building like skills, like finishing at the rim that way. And then whatever skill, we kind of do about 45 minutes of skill work, and then we'll move into some like offense and defense team stuff. And then we typically will end most practices with some kind of competitive scrimmage.
Something. What do you, when do you plan your practice? When do you do that?
So typically I'll plan my practice the morning of. So I have a good block of time in the morning. So I'll have anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half in the morning. And if I typically my lessons for school are all planned out. So during the basketball season, I
Yeah, it's easier. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I usually Sunday night is I get my week ready for my teaching part,
Yep.
my teaching
Yep.
gig, and then I can refocus, because then again, I've taught for 35 years. So if I got the plan down, I can, like, trust me, I can walk. There's no hesitant tomorrow when I'm walking into school, like, okay, here's what am I doing? Okay, I'm doing this. And
Yep.
poof,
Yep.
I go. So I don't have to worry about that. I've done it for, I mean, I could do it in my sleep per se, probably. I love that idea though, that I've had that conversation recently too about I used to practice, my kids were little, I used to do it at night, because mornings tend to be a bit chaotic in the house.
Busy.
And then,
Yes, it's
yeah,
busy.
busy. They tend to be busy. They're not busy. So both of my kids are off in college. So I'm going to tell you, it changes. It's like, oh, I get up, I get my cup of coffee, and I walk out the door, and it's like, oh my God, what did I used to do? It's like, first of all, I used to wake up a lot earlier too, because they'd get up and we get them off to school. But anyway, I find my practices are better when I do, like I was saying, when I do them in the morning, because I think about the previous day.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
I think about things that went well and didn't go well, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to get more intentional about what you want to do that afternoon if you've already thought about it that morning of.
And
Then it's fresh.
I read something about Coach K too. I don't remember when it was, but he goes, think about when you're the freshest, and you're the freshest when you, in the morning, when you wake up. That's why he comes home and takes naps sometimes for his games, because he wants to be fresh and woken up. But it's true though. I think the brain is working the fastest at that morning window. I agree. What do you think the hardest thing to teach is as a basketball coach? What skill, what thing, what aspect of the game do you think is the hardest?
Communication has been difficult, especially with the age that I coach now. I got middle school girls that don't really communicate super well, and
Right.
they've improved dramatically. But I think getting everybody to kind of speak in the same words, so kind of speaking the same language, has really helped. And then when we really emphasize it everywhere, and we will have periods of time where we as coaches we won't talk, and if it then it gets awkward because then no one's talking.
Right.
Sometimes.
And it's like I have a little app on my phone too. It's like it's decibels, and I go, this thing hasn't moved in like an hour. Like,
it's quiet.
how is that possible? Like, I should be getting the noise alert on my phone that old men get, that is too loud, and you're not doing that to me at all. But
yeah, and I think the reason it's so difficult is because I know all the answers and I know what they should be saying, and
Yes.
I just kind of say it for them. And when I do it for them, they don't do it for themselves. And if they never do it for themselves, they're never gonna actually do it. So we try to emphasize it like before and after, not necessarily during. Like it'd be like, hey, after the drill, like what did you guys think your communication was like
Right.
that? And they'll be like, well, probably wasn't great. you
No,
know.
and what I've done too is when I feel like things aren't as intense as they need to be, I have I've challenged. I said I usually it's one of my a couple of my leaders. I could go on a tirade about what captains mean, but and I'll see the three of you are going to come up with practice tomorrow. You're going to tell me what we need because we've already played this team twice or we've already played this
Yep.
team once. You come tomorrow, and I'm going to help. I'll guide. I'll be the pilot of the ship, but you're gonna hand to me what we're doing tomorrow, and from everything, and then I'll tweak it a little bit, but it's perfect because it. And I said you got to talk to your teammates, and they got to know it, and we're going from thing to thing, and we got to get ready to play in 2 days or whatever we're going to do. And sometimes it's good because it causes that communication outside the window of practice too. I think, which is important.
And then they get a little bit of ownership there as well.
Yeah, a little
Kind
bit
of
of
being the
ownership. I
ones.
think that's good. Uh, if you could talk to one coach, who would you talk to? Living or dead? I'll leave this one open. Usually, sometimes I put this in my rapid fire, but um, who would you talk to and why?
And who is the coach from Coach Carter? You know Coach Carter, the movie Coach
The
Carter?
actual Coach Carter.
Yeah, I'd talk to the actual Coach Carter
You are
if
the
I could.
first person to ever say that.
I
That's good.
absolutely I love that movie.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. I think if I chain the door to the thing, I think I'd get
Yeah.
fired. It's
I don't know if I would. Not at the school that I'm at. I don't know if I would.
well, I don't know. I mean, I think I would, but even if it grades, I don't know if it would be okay. I'd go fishing, but
Yeah.
so tell me about your coaching philosophy.
Yeah, so
What would that entail? And if I have a player that we're thinking of moving into your district. Tell me a little bit about you and about your coaching philosophy. Why should I send my kid to you?
yeah, so the very first thing that I think about when coaching is usually the better teams have the more skilled, better players. So our first thing is that we want to develop skilled players. Is that is that is
That
that
is a
is
good. Usually, the better teams win. Yes,
yes.
yes. Law of large numbers from a stats point of view. Yes, yes, that is
Yeah,
true.
if you put more better players out there, you have a better chance, right?
Right, and I'm going to tell coaches that are listening to this. I'm going to tell you it's a law. It is the law of large numbers. Look it up. It basically is what Vegas is built on. They have
Yeah.
a small percentage advantage. The only way Vegas loses is if people don't gamble. They're going to win because the probability is on their side. It's the same with a game. If I'm better than you,
Yep.
I want more possessions. If I get more possessions, the law of large numbers is going to
Balance out.
toward me because my team's better than your team. So it's one of the reasons I don't necessarily want the shot clock at the high school level. Because I think what makes it unique is you don't necessarily. I think it's just I think that's what makes high school basketball different. Is maybe we don't necessarily need that.
So you guys don't use a shot clock in
We
Wisconsin.
don't. You have it. I
We
know.
just we just transitioned this year, and wouldn't that create more? Well, if you were the better team, wouldn't that create more possessions if you have that shot clock?
No, I think it's gonna. I think it helps the better team. I think it hurts the.
Yes,
I think
it hurts. It hurts the bad team.
It does. It hurts the teams that
less
aren't
good
quite
team.
as good, and then maybe then and it becomes more of an. What is it? 30 or 35?
35.
Yeah,
Yep.
35 doesn't really affect the game very much. Yeah, I can't imagine you had many violations or have many
No, I went to a couple of our high school games, and there was very seldom did it ever even like buzz because the ball was still in the air. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
know. I've already volunteered if we ever get it to run it. I said I'll retire and run it.
I'll
It
run the
won't.
shotgun.
It won't be that hard to run because it's like if you know anything about Madison and our teams, shoot, we're not gonna have like new. Maybe
Yeah, we actually had like a situation in like a class A, or not class A. It was probably double A. The more A's you have, the bigger your school is. There was a
Okay.
team that in overtime they held the ball for the entire overtime, and they took one shot, missed it, and then the other team got the rebound and won on a half court buzzer beater. I think it was De La Salle. De La Salle High School ended up winning that game. But that's the reason why they ended up transitioning, I think, is because of that game where the lesser team had somehow made it to overtime, and then they held the ball, and it was happening. It was happening at the smaller levels too, because there were teams that were getting crushed by like 60, 70, 80 points, and they just wanted to hold the ball instead of.
Yeah. It's those small samples that kind of change it. All right, so I'm going to ask you some they're not rapid fire, but quick questions. What's your favorite brand of basketball? Like the ball you play with?
We use the Wilsons. I like the Wilsons.
Okay. If you could describe one word to describe your ideal player.
Skilled.
Okay. Favorite pregame or postgame meal?
Ramen noodles. Pregame.
Really?
For me, that's what I eat.
Okay. There's new ramen. I think it's called a mini. They're not sponsors. IMMI, I think. They're much better, less salt, more protein.
I get the pure salt cheap ones from Walmart.
Yeah, you get the
throw them in my
six,
microwave
you get
before
the
I
6 sec. They're like
Yep.
six. Yeah, they're like 6 pennies. I know. I ate those a lot. They're horrible for you though.
Oh yeah.
If you go to one sporting event in the world, what would you go to and why?
I would go to the like Minnesota Hockey Day where they have the outdoor hockey arena. I'd go to that because that is iconic for Minnesota. Okay. That or the Minnesota State Hockey Tournament.
Yeah, that's
like a Texas football.
That's game. Like Texas football or Indiana basketball. People don't understand. Minnesota hockey's crazy. So one thing you do to relax?
I unplug. I just kind of I'll take like 5 minutes, like either during the course of the day. Typically during the school day, I'll just shut everything down, turn my phone off, turn the computer off, and I'll just kind of sit in the quiet in my office.
Meditate. You should meditate. Yes. Do you have any superstitions?
No, I don't.
Okay. One coaching technique that you think is important?
So recently in my Phi-Ed classes, I've gotten into what's called constraint. It's a constraint-led approach. So instead of digging into the mechanics of a skill, you're more leading the athletes or the students to the skill that you want to develop through different constraints. So like I think an easy example for basketball would be like the Dr. Dish shooting machine. You kind of put that big arc up. So the constraint is you can't really shoot a flat shot. If you want someone to shoot with proper arc, you got the constraint up, they're going to shoot with the correct arc.
I think it's good. That's small-sided game stuff, really, actually.
Yeah.
And what I tell people is like, if you find a drill you like, use the drill. Just change the drill. Like,
correct. Yeah.
Just change the constraints and it will just be different each time. So that's the difference. Best basketball player of all time.
I gotta go with Steph Curry.
Oh, Steph hasn't gotten a vote recently. Describe your perfect player in 5 words or less.
Tall, fast, skilled, athletic, LeBron.
That's good. Best basketball player you have seen in person.
Well, best basketball player that would have like played against in person would be like
No, or just seen in person.
Seen in person.
Not on
I guess
TV. Seen in person.
not on. Okay. It'd have to be one of the SDSU guys, like Mike Dom. When I was there, I don't know if you ever heard of Mike Dom. Saw him in person, played with him, like in pickup ball. But
okay, yeah. Shot clock, yes or no?
yes.
If you could change one thing about the game, what would you change?
I'd add a 4-point line. I'd add the 4-point line.
That'd be interesting. I'd do two things. I'd make the court wider and longer.
Okay.
Because I think the athletes are getting bigger and stronger.
Sure.
And the second thing, the one that I'm going to try to do before I leave this earth is get rid of the jump ball. I think
like the tip or
literally
like on the ground.
Literally the jump ball from the start of the game.
Why is that?
It's stupid. Why do we do it? We only do one a game, and they're bad at tossing it. And why do we have to start the game that way? That makes no sense to me.
Do you see all those balloons just fly up?
I know. That's because I did 2 or up or something. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. But they're happy. They know I'm right. Zoom knows I'm right. But it's like, it just makes no sense to me that we do a jump ball.
Okay.
So why don't we just flip a coin, or the rule is every visiting team gets the ball to start.
It'd be a lot cooler if they lined up like a football game at the front and they
you start on the sideline. You start at the sideline. You just get the ball and you get to start. So I know that you're going to get the ball to start the game. I'm going to be on defense, and then the alternating possession goes back and forth.
Okay, I've never thought about that. I guess I've just accepted
because when I was in high school, every jump ball was a jump ball.
Yeah. So
why do we have jump balls if we're not going to jump ball? We only jump the ball to start the game.
So would you rather it go back to that, or would you rather just eliminate it?
No, I have no problem with alternating possession. That's fine.
Okay.
But then why do one or the other?
Yeah.
Let's jump. If you're going to jump them all, the problem is nobody has circles anymore. So you're not going to probably jump balls anymore. So fine, we'll do alternating possession. Then why do we throw it up to start the game then? That seems silly to me. And they're bad at throwing it up. That's the issue. It's tradition. That's the only reason we have
it. It's the way we've always done it, Coach.
It's the way we've always done it. I know. Do you have a favorite quote or saying?
Board man gets paid. Kawhi Leonard.
Ooh, I like that. Quarters or halves?
Halves. That's what we do. It's the way it's always been.
Good.
Actually, it's not. It's not the way it's always been. My high school coach used to talk about quarters.
Yeah.
And then they must have transitioned somewhere in between his playing time and my playing time.
Yes. Charge circle, yes or no?
Like the smile, the restricted zone?
Yep.
Yes. Yes, you need that.
Okay. One word to describe your coaching style.
Intentional.
Ooh, I like that one. That's really good. Okay. Best basketball coach of all time.
Greg Popovich.
I like that one. He's on my short list for sure. He's definitely on my short list.
Who's yours?
I think it would be him. But I don't know if it would be him from a high school coaching standpoint.
Sure.
I think I would go with I'd go with Wooten, or I'd go with probably the high school coach or Miller, one of those. Hurley kind of, because I think they live more in a world like Pop doesn't live in the world that I live in.
Sure.
He's a great coach, and the stuff he does wouldn't. So again, this is more like if I'm going to vote for the best coach, like I think there should be one at each level. Actually, maybe I'll change that question. Do you have a book you'd recommend or a resource you'd recommend?
Um, Transformational Coaching by Joe Ehrman.
Okay. I
It's
love that.
have you read that book?
I have not, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, the Minnesota State High School League actually has a program where when you get certified as a coach, they kind of send you the book and you go through the whole program. They don't make you read the book, but it's a great read.
Okay. Um, if you had some advice to another coach, what would that advice be? Anything, could be anything. This is always my last question, a bit of advice. Usually it's what would you tell your younger self, but that would be like you're 12 and in middle school. So I'm not going to ask the question that way. But if you had a bit of advice to a coach, what would the advice be?
I would say just keep learning. You know, don't necessarily always use everything that you learn, but stay curious. Stay curious more so.
You need to
Let's say stay
know you
curious.
need to know everything, but not use everything. That's what I tell
Yes.
coaches. Like, I need to know how to break your diamond in one or your 1-3-1. Doesn't mean I need to run it, but I need to
Yes.
know it well enough that I know how it works. I
Yes.
think everyone thinks you have to do all of these things. It's the COVID. It's like I tell the story of when COVID hit and everyone was doing all this clinics and all these things, and everyone was teaching everything, and it was like the World Wide Web was crazy for basketball coaches. I had to literally unplug because there's too much information. It was too much information. I don't need all that information. When I need something, I'll go find it, and then but it was almost an overload. But I love that. I think keep learning, keep reading. You see my library
Yes.
that I'm
Yeah.
actually I literally, if you can believe, out of this library, I just probably took 60 books, 80 books to Goodwill and St. Phineas. It's like I'm starting to clean. Some of them are leaning here, you can see, but it's kind of like clothes. If you don't wear it, get rid of it. Let someone else wear
Right.
it. Don't read it. Let it move it on. Yeah, I'll find.
Let it collect dust somewhere else. Right.
Yes, that's a good thing. All right, thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, so glad you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like before you leave. And also go over and check out Teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It's got everything and a roadmap for you to become a better basketball coach. So go over and check it out. And let's head back to the next video, wherever that would be.